The Empire's Ultimatum Empire, an ancient and powerful force that spanned across the galaxy, had never been known to show mercy. For centuries, it had conquered planet after planet, absorbing their resources and crushing any who dared to defy it. Its reach was vast, its armies formidable, no civilization had ever stood against it for long. The Empire's ships, sleek and menacing, had become symbols of fear in every corner of the galaxy. And now, the Empire had set its sights on Earth. From the moment the first scout ships appeared in Earth's orbit, the people of Earth knew something was coming. It was unlike any other threat they had faced. The Empire's message was clear and cold, transmitted in every language Earth had known. They were coming for Earth. The transmission was simple: a demand, surrender, or face annihilation. There was no explanation, no reason given, just the cold, hard fact that Earth had been marked for conquest. The words seemed to hang in the air, heavy and unyielding. For days, the message repeated, and as it echoed across the world, panic spread like wildfire. Earth's government scrambled to react. Leaders gathered in emergency meetings, debating their options. Some called for resistance, others for surrender. It was a decision that could change everything, and no one knew the right answer. In the highest chambers of power, President Maria Hale stood at the head of a room filled with her top military advisors. Her face was a mask of calm, but inside, she was racing to come up with a plan. The transmission had come from the Empire itself. A direct challenge, and Earth had no idea how to respond. "We have no time." General Marshall spoke up, his voice thick with worry. "We've never faced anything like this before. Their fleet is already moving toward Earth. Their ships are massive, their weapons are unlike anything we've ever seen." Maria turned to the large holographic map that displayed the incoming threat. It was hard to ignore the data flashing across the screen. Alien ships, impossible in size, moving toward Earth's atmosphere at incredible speed. Earth's own fleet, though strong, was no match for the Empire's might. The odds of survival seemed slim. "What are our options?" Maria asked, her voice steady despite the fear rising within her. Another advisor, Dr. Sandra Cole, a scientist specializing in alien technologies, spoke next. "We've been tracking their transmissions, trying to decode any weaknesses. But their ships are far beyond our current technology. The Empire doesn't negotiate. They take what they want, and if we resist, they'll wipe us out." The room fell silent, the weight of the situation pressing down on everyone. There was nothing to hide from anymore. The Empire was coming, and Earth had to decide if it would fight back or give in. The message they sent: "There's no room for diplomacy," Maria said quietly, her gaze fixed on the map. "If we resist, we risk everything, but if we surrender, we lose everything we stand for." She paused, thinking about Earth's history, its struggles, its triumphs. People had fought wars for centuries to protect their home, to preserve their way of life. Could they really just give it up? Could they surrender to a force that had no respect for their sovereignty? But the reality was clear. The Empire didn't care about Earth's history or its struggles. It cared only about power, control, and expansion. The thought of humanity being wiped out without a fight sent a chill down Maria's spine. "We need to find another way," Maria said, her tone resolute. "We cannot surrender, but we must find a way to stand up to them." General Marshall shook his head. "It's not that simple, Madam President. You know as well as I do that we're no match for them. Our weapons are like toys to them. If we resist, we'll be wiped out. Our best option is to surrender." Maria clenched her fists. She hated the idea, but it was hard to ignore the truth. "Then we'll fight. Even if we don't win, we'll make them bleed." The tension in the room thickened as Maria's words hung in the air. She wasn't just talking about a physical battle. She was talking about standing up for Earth's dignity, its people, its future. She wasn't willing to let Earth's fate be sealed by an ultimatum. They might not win, but they could still fight. As the days passed, Earth's leaders worked tirelessly to prepare for the Empire's arrival. They knew it would be an uphill battle, but they couldn't afford to give up without a fight. Earth's military forces were mobilized, emergency plans were set in motion, and every available resource was focused on preparing for the worst. And then, just when the tension seemed unbearable, something unexpected happened. A fleet of ships appeared on the horizon. Not Empire ships, but a strange, dark fleet, moving swiftly and silently toward Earth. They were massive, yet there was something different about them. They were not like anything Earth had ever seen. The Black Fleet, as they would come to be known, appeared out of nowhere, blocking the Empire's path to Earth. It was as if they had been waiting, lurking in the shadows, and now they were here. The Earth had no idea who they were, what they wanted, or where they had come from. But their arrival changed everything. The Empire's fleet, once sure of its victory, hesitated. For the first time, something had entered the scene that even they didn't control. The Black Fleet did not speak, nor did they make any demands. They simply stood in the way. As the Empire's ships loomed closer, the two fleets, one dark, One menacing faced each other in a battle of wills. The fate of Earth hung in the balance. Would the Black Fleet help Earth? Or would they be swept aside in the wake of the Empire's overwhelming force? The uncertainty hung in the air, thick and suffocating as Earth's last hope stood before them. The first encounter. The Black Fleet hovered in Earth's orbit, casting long, dark shadows over the planet below. Its ships were unlike any that Earth had ever seen, massive and sleek. They were made from materials that seemed to shimmer in the light, black as the void itself. They were silent, still, yet their presence was more menacing than any battle fleet Earth had ever encountered. The Empire, who had been so confident in their demands, now found themselves caught in a tense standoff. Their once unchallenged power suddenly seemed fragile. The Black Fleet had appeared without warning, blocking the Empire's path to Earth. No communication had been made, no explanation given. Just their silent, imposing arrival. Earth's leaders were confused, unsure of whether this new fleet was an ally or an enemy. For a moment, it felt as though the planet itself was holding its breath. The threat of the Empire's looming destruction still hung in the air. But now there was a new force to consider. What was this fleet's purpose? Why had they come? As Earth's leaders watched the scene unfold on their screens, Maria Hale, standing once again before her advisors, tried to make sense of the chaos. The Empire's ships had paused in their approach, but they had not retreated. The fleet's deadly weapons, all aimed at Earth, were still locked and ready for action. But the Black Fleet remained unmoving, blocking their path. Who are they? Maria asked, her voice filled with both awe and anxiety. What do they want? Dr. Sandra Cole, still by her side, had no answer. We've never seen anything like them. There's no record of such ships in any of the Empire's archives. Whoever they are, they're not part of any known civilization. What should we do? General Marshall asked, his face tense. We can't keep waiting. The Empire's not going to just stand down. Maria's mind raced. She had no idea who the Black Fleet was. But one thing was clear, they were not going to allow the Empire to reach Earth. Were they here to protect Earth, or did they have their own agenda? The possibilities were endless, but Maria knew they didn't have the luxury of time. The Empire's ultimatum still stood, and every second spent in indecision could mean Earth's destruction. The tension in the air grew thick. The two fleets, one dark, one shining with the cold light of Empire ships, stood locked in a silent battle for control. The Empire, once the unstoppable force of the galaxy, now seemed vulnerable, and Earth's fate rested in the hands of the mysterious Black Fleet. Sir, one of the officers from Earth's fleet called out urgently, the Empire has begun to move again. They're aligning their ships, preparing for attack. Maria's heart skipped a beat. It seemed the Empire was not intimidated by the Black Fleet's rival. They had not withdrawn. They were now on the offensive. Earth, with its meager defense forces, was caught between two mighty forces, neither of which was willing to back down. We have to make a choice, Maria said, her voice calm yet filled with resolve. We can't wait any longer. Should we communicate with the Black Fleet? Dr. Cole asked. Maybe they'll hear us out. Before Maria could respond, the answer came not in words, but in action. The Black Fleet's ships suddenly moved, not forward, not toward the Empire, but in perfect formation, gliding toward Earth. It was like they had been waiting for something, as though this moment had been preordained. The tension shifted from fear to anticipation. Earth's fleet moved into position, ready to defend their planet. The Empire's ships, locked and ready, turned to face the new threat. But then, something extraordinary happened. From the largest ship in the Black Fleet, a massive, dark vessel that seemed to eclipse the stars themselves, a single pulse of energy shot into the sky. The blast was not an attack, it was something else entirely. The pulse of energy illuminated the sky in a brilliant flash of light, sending a ripple through space, shaking the Empire's fleet. For a moment, everything stood still, as if time had frozen. The Empire's ships faltered, momentarily caught off guard. The Black Fleet had not fired on them, but the shockwave was enough to throw their precision off balance. The ships that had once seemed unstoppable now hesitated, their lines momentarily broken. The Black Fleet was proving that it had the upper hand without ever having to fire a shot. Is that some kind of weapon? General Marshall asked, his voice filled with disbelief. It's more than that, Dr. Cole replied. It's like they're disrupting the Empire's technology. They're not using weapons, they're altering the battlefield itself. Maria felt a strange sense of hope rise within her. Could this Black Fleet, this mysterious force, really be Earth's salvation? But there were too many unknowns. They had no idea who they were or why they had come, and yet, the moment the energy pulse faded, the Empire's ships began to retreat. Slowly, cautiously, they began to pull back, seemingly uncertain of how to proceed. For the first time since the Empire's rival, Earth had a moment of reprieve. The Black Fleet had stopped the attack, but the question remained, why had they done it? What did they want, and would they continue to protect Earth or would they become another threat? As the Black Fleet held its position above Earth, the two fleets, one filled with power and domination, the other with mystery and unknown strength, faced off. Earth was caught between them, and its future seemed to hang in the balance. Maria watched the scene unfold on the command center's screens. This was not the battle she had expected. The Empire was backing down, but for how long, and when would the Black Fleet make its next move? The game had only just begun, and the stakes could not have been higher. The fate of Earth, and possibly the galaxy, was now in the hands of an unknown force. The Black Fleet's power. The Black Fleet hovered in Earth's orbit like an impenetrable wall. Its ships, vast and imposing, loomed over the planet, casting shadows across the cities below. The Empire, once confident in its ability to crush any opposition, now found itself uncertain and vulnerable. No one could explain the true power of the Black Fleet, but its rival had completely altered the balance of power in Earth's defense. Maria Hale stood at the command center, her hands pressed firmly on the cold surface of the table as she watched the status screens flicker. The Empire's ships had retreated, but only momentarily. The question remained, what was the Black Fleet's true intent? Were they here to protect Earth, or did they have their own, more dangerous agenda? Madam President, General Marshall said, his voice filled with both respect and concern. We've detected another energy pulse from the Black Fleet. It's not like anything we've seen before. It's as if they're broadcasting a message. Maria's eyes narrowed. A message? From who? Not from a person, Marshall said. It's more like a signal. A frequency that's disrupting our communication systems. We can't intercept it, but it's causing interference across all our channels. It's unlike any technology we've encountered. Maria's thoughts raced. The Black Fleet didn't just show up to defend Earth. They had come with power that Earth could barely comprehend. They had disrupted the Empire's communication with a single energy pulse. It wasn't just about technology or firepower, it was something else entirely. We need to understand what they want, Maria said, her voice steady but filled with a growing sense of urgency. We can't just sit here waiting, we need to communicate with them. A voice from the communications team spoke up. We've been trying. Madam President, the fleet is not responding. We've sent out multiple signals, but they haven't replied. They're different. It's as if they're not even acknowledging us. General Marshall frowned. They're waiting for something. I don't think they'll act unless provoked. But we don't know how far they're willing to go. Maria's mind churned with possibilities. What kind of force was this? Who were these beings? And why had they chosen to come to Earth? The Empire's threats were clear and terrifying, but the arrival of the Black Fleet brought a strange sense of hope. Still, that hope was tempered with uncertainty. Could they trust these mysterious ships? Or were they another hidden danger, waiting for the perfect moment to strike? Should we send a delegation? Maria asked, still wrestling with the unknowns. I recommend caution. Marshall said quickly, the Black Fleet is powerful, yes, but they remain unpredictable. We don't know if they're here to defend Earth or if their presence will draw the Empire back with more force. Until we know more, we have to act as though both the Empire and the Black Fleet are threats. Maria nodded, but something deep inside her told her that the Black Fleet was not an enemy. Earth had been given a chance, but how long would this fragile peace last? Suddenly, alarms blared, snapping everyone's attention to the monitors. The Black Fleet had moved again from the flagship of the Black Fleet. A tremendous surge of energy shot out, hitting the Empire's ships. This time, it wasn't just a pulse, it was a beam of concentrated power, and it pierced the Empire's defenses as if they were nothing more than paper. The Empire's lead ship faltered, its shields cracking under the immense force. What the hell is happening? Marshall yelled as he watched the Empire's fleet struggle. Maria stared at the screen in shock. The Empire had no way of defending itself. The energy beam was not just powerful, it was precise. Surgical. The Empire's fleet was being dismantled before their eyes, one ship at a time, and the Black Fleet wasn't finished. As the Empire's flagship spiraled out of control, another pulse of energy struck, severing its engines. The flagship began to drift, vulnerable and helpless. The rest of the Empire's fleet hesitated, unwilling to move in for the kill. The Black Fleet had shown them their power and they had backed down. Maria could hardly breathe as she watched the scene unfold. The Black Fleet wasn't just stopping the Empire, they were dismantling their fleet piece by piece. There was no mercy in their strikes, no negotiation. They were showing the Empire exactly how powerless they were against this unknown force. Are we just watching? General Marshall demanded. Shouldn't we be making contact with the Black Fleet now? Maria hesitated, her heart racing. The fate of Earth rested on the Black Fleet's decision. Should they engage now or wait for a response? Every moment that passed increased the tension. Every Empire ship that fell made it harder for Maria to ignore the deadly power on display. And then, just as quickly as it had started, the Black Fleet powered down. The energy pulses stopped and the silence in space was deafening. The Empire's fleet, crippled but not destroyed, was left floating in space, defeated but alive. Maria watched as the Black Fleet's ships turned slowly but deliberately, heading toward Earth. They hadn't destroyed the Empire yet, but they had made their point. They had shown their dominance. Earth was safe for now, but the Black Fleet was still a mystery, its full intentions unclear. "General," Maria said, her voice steady, "we need to know what they want. And we need to figure it out now. The Empire might be defeated, but that doesn't mean Earth is safe yet." The Black Fleet was a new force, one Earth had never encountered before, and while they had saved Earth from the Empire's wrath, the question remained: who were they, and what would they do next? The battle wasn't over yet, but for the first time in a long while, Maria had a glimmer of hope. If the Black Fleet was on Earth's side, then Earth had just found its true allies. But if not, the next battle would be even more difficult than the first. Asterisk: a deadly game of strategized aftermath of the Black Fleet's intervention left Earth's leaders in a state of stunned silence. The Empire's fleet had been crippled without a single shot fired from Earth's own defenses. Yet, despite their victory, the air was thick with uncertainty. The Black Fleet had intervened, but they had not spoken. They had shown their power, but their intentions remained unclear. What were they waiting for? What did they truly want from Earth? Maria Hale sat at the head of the command table, her eyes fixed on the flickering screens in front of her. The Black Fleet, though they had spared Earth, remained eerily silent in orbit, their massive ships looming over the planet like silent guardians or potential executioners. The Empire had retreated, but they were not gone. The threat of their return still hung over Earth's future. "Madam President," General Marshall's voice interrupted her thoughts. "We've received reports from all over Earth. The public's divided. Some see the Black Fleet as our salvation. Others see them as a new threat, just waiting for the right moment to strike. Either way, the people are scared, and we're no closer to understanding what they want." Maria clenched her fists. The Black Fleet's rival had given them a fighting chance against the Empire, but now the unknowns were multiplying. The fleet's deadly power could either be a boon for Earth, or the greatest threat humanity had ever faced. "We need to find a way to communicate with them," Maria said, her voice filled with determination. "We can't keep sitting here wondering what their next move will be." The Black Fleet had shown its power by dismantling the Empire's forces with frightening precision. Now, it seemed like a game of strategy. Earth had no way of knowing if the Black Fleet would continue to protect them or if they had their own, unknown agenda. Every decision made now could tip the scales in favor of peace or war. "If they wanted to destroy us, they would have done it already," Dr. Sandra Cole chimed in, her voice soft but thoughtful. "But they didn't. They intervened to stop the Empire. That means they care about something, whether it's us or something else. We don't know." Marshall wasn't so optimistic. "They've shown us their power. What's to stop them from deciding that Earth, too, is expendable if we don't make contact? If we don't show some sign of respect, they might decide to finish what the Empire started." Maria considered the possibilities. Her mind raced through the options: communicate, attempt to negotiate, or prepare for a defensive stand, hoping the Black Fleet would remain an ally. But how could they risk Earth's future on guesses? The Black Fleet had proven its might, and the Empire would no doubt regroup, especially after being humiliated in front of their galactic empire. "We need to know what they want," Maria said firmly. "We need to understand their motives." Hours passed, and every attempt to communicate with the Black Fleet was met with silence. Earth's best engineers tried every known method, but there was no response, no acknowledgement. The fleet remained as still and silent as the stars themselves. Earth was left to wait, their fate seemingly in the hands of these enigmatic strangers. Then a new message came through, a signal different from the others. This one wasn't a direct communication, but a data burst, a series of encrypted messages that flashed across Earth's command screens. The transmission was an invitation to meet. Maria's heart skipped. "They want us to come to them," she murmured. General Marshall stood up. "Do you trust them, Madam President?" Maria's mind raced. She knew Earth was teetering on the edge of a precipice. The Black Fleet could destroy them, ignore them, or perhaps help them, but how could Earth risk everything on one encounter? One decision could mean the difference between peace and total annihilation. "They want us to come to them, to meet face to face," Maria said, her voice calm, though the weight of the decision pressed down on her. "This might be our only chance to find out their true intentions." "Are you sure this is a good idea?" Marshall asked, his concern evident. "They've shown they're capable of wiping out an entire fleet without breaking a sweat. What's to stop them from doing the same to us?" Maria glanced at the map on the screen, which displayed Earth's location in the center of a swirling storm of uncertainty, the Black Fleet still loomed large in orbit, an intimidating force. Its silent ships almost mocking Earth's vulnerability. She took a deep breath. We don't have a choice. We either meet them and take a chance on peace, or we stay here and wait for the Empire to regroup and strike again. I'm not willing to wait. The decision was made. Maria ordered a small delegation to be sent to meet the Black Fleet. It would be a risky mission, one that could lead to either a diplomatic breakthrough or disaster. But it was the only option that would give Earth any real chance of survival. As the shuttle prepared for launch, Maria stood on the command deck, her mind heavy with the weight of her decision. The path ahead was filled with uncertainty, but Earth had been given a gifted chance to survive against the Empire's overwhelming might. Whether the Black Fleet was here to protect them or destroy them remained to be seen. The shuttle lifted off, its course set for the Black Fleet's flagship. Now waiting in the void of space, Earth's fate was in the hands of the unknown, and as the shuttle disappeared into the blackness of space, Maria could only wonder, what would they find when they arrived? And would the Black Fleet truly be Earth's ally, or would they become the next great threat? The Empire Strikes Back shuttle's engines roared as it ascended toward the Black Fleet, cutting through the silence of space like a needle through cloth. Inside the cockpit, Maria Hale sat in tense silence, the weight of her decision pressing down on her. She had sent Earth's best diplomats and military leaders to meet the Black Fleet, but deep down, she knew that nothing about this situation could be predicted. The unknown stretched before them like an uncharted wilderness, and the Empire's looming threat was still very much alive. They had managed to defeat the Empire's fleet barely, but now the real test awaited. As the shuttle neared the Black Fleet's flagship, a massive, blackened vessel that seemed to absorb the very light around it, the tension on board was palpable. Every crew member, even those accustomed to dangerous missions, could feel at the impending moment when Earth would meet its possible saviors or its executioners. This is it, General Marshall said, his voice heavy with anticipation. We'll know soon enough whether this is a peace offering or a trap. Maria nodded but said nothing. The Black Fleet's sudden appearance had been an enigma, an unprecedented force that could either be Earth's ally in the war against the Empire, or its ultimate downfall. There was no room for hesitation now. Inside the massive flagship, a chamber of darkness awaited their arrival. The lights inside the shuttle flickered as they approached a docking bay that seemed almost too quiet, like the calm before a storm. Welcome, Earth delegation, a cold voice echoed through the shuttle's speakers, its origin unknown. You have entered our domain. Maria's breath caught in her throat. The voice was not the same as before. It wasn't a message or a signal, it was real. It felt ancient, and it was clear that whoever or whatever was speaking did not consider them guests. We come in peace, Maria responded, her voice steady despite the growing tension. We seek to understand your intentions and discuss how Earth can stand with you against the Empire. The voice on the speakers seemed to pause, considering her words. Understand? You seek understanding, but you have yet to grasp the scope of what you have summoned. Maria exchanged a glance with General Marshall. What had they summoned? What had they awakened by contacting the Black Fleet? The shuttle's doors slid open, and they were greeted by a stark, dimly lit corridor leading deep into the heart of the ship. As they stepped off the shuttle, the chill in the air grew even colder. The walls were made of a material that seemed alive, its surface shifting in the shadows. The architecture was both alien and organic, as if the ship itself had been grown rather than built. A figure stepped into view, towering over them, its appearance almost otherworldly. The being's skin was dark, like the ship's exterior, with glimmering veins of energy running through its body. It looked human, but far more ancient, its eyes glowing with an unsettling light. This was the first time Maria had laid eyes on a member of the Black Fleet, and it was clear that this being was not someone they could easily control or even comprehend. You are bold, the being said, its voice echoing around them. But boldness alone does not grant you survival. What makes you believe your people deserve the future we are offering? Maria stood her ground, her heart pounding. We don't claim entitlement. We seek to survive, to protect our people. We only ask for a chance to do so. The figure tilted its head, as if considering her words. Then, without warning, it gestured for them to follow. The hallways seemed to stretch on forever, winding deeper into the vessel. Maria felt as though they were walking into the heart of a living thing. The ship pulsed with a strange energy, vibrating underfoot as they walked. As they approached the central chamber, the figure finally spoke again. You think your survival is in your hands. You misunderstand. The Empire's threat is merely a test to see if you are worthy of what lies ahead. We are not here to protect you. We are here to see if your species can withstand the future. Maria's mind raced as the words sank in. This wasn't just about defeating the Empire, it was about Earth proving its worth in the grand scheme of the universe. This was about survival, yes, but on a scale far beyond anything Earth had ever known. As they entered the chamber, they were faced with a sight that nearly took their breath away. The room was enormous, the walls lined with strange, glowing symbols that shifted in the dim light. At the center of the room was a massive, spherical device, its surface swirling with cosmic energy. It was the source of the power that had disrupted the Empire's fleet. It was ancient, it was alive. This, the being said, is what you have awakened. A power greater than anything you have ever known, a force that could reshape galaxies, if wielded correctly. The question is not whether you are ready to fight the Empire, it's whether you are ready to embrace what comes next. Maria looked at the device, her mind reeling. They had awakened something far beyond the Empire's reach. This was not just about military might, it was about understanding this power, and whether Earth could wield it without being consumed by it. We don't need to rule, Maria said slowly, the weight of her words heavy in the air. We just need to survive. The being before her seemed to smile, if such a thing were possible with its alien features. Survival, yes, but more than that, we offer you something beyond mere survival. We offer you a future. Maria's thoughts swirled. The future of Earth could be in their hands, but at what cost? You must prove yourself. The being continued, the Empire will return, and when they do, it will be your decision whether they crush you or your people rise above them. This is the test. And with those words, the room grew even darker, the pressure in the air intensifying. The Empire was not Earth's only threat. There was something greater, something older, that had just revealed itself. The true battle for Earth's survival had only just begun. Maria's mind was made up. Whatever it took, whatever choices had to be made, Earth would face this challenge. The Black Fleet had shown them the future, and now Earth had to decide whether they would rise or fall. Unveiling the truth room felt like it was closing in around Maria as the being's words echoed in her mind. The weight of what had just been revealed, the power that the Black Fleet held, the future they had promised, was almost too much to comprehend. Earth had been thrust into a position where survival no longer meant just resisting the Empire. It meant stepping into a new reality, one that could change the galaxy forever. As the being's glowing eyes watched them, Maria felt both a sense of awe and fear. The device at the center of the room, pulsating with cosmic energy, seemed to hum with anticipation, as if it too was waiting for something, waiting for Earth to decide if they were worthy, if they could be trusted with such power. You must understand, the being said again, its voice reverberating through the room. This power is not for the weak. The Empire is but a stepping stone. We are testing you to see if your species can rise to the challenge. It is not about defeating the Empire, it is about what comes after. Will you use this power for your own gain, or for the good of the galaxy? Maria's mind raced. The Black Fleet had shown them a glimpse of something far beyond their understanding, and now Earth was on the edge of making a choice that could alter the course of history. But what was the price of this power? What would they have to sacrifice to control it? If we accept this power, what will it demand of us? She asked, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside. The being's eyes glowed brighter, and for a moment, Maria could have sworn she saw a flicker of something pity, perhaps, in its gaze. Everything has a cost, it replied cryptically. But it is not a cost you will pay alone. The fate of the galaxy rests in your hands now, as it has for countless others before you. Maria's heart pounded in her chest. This was it. They had been given a chance, but it was clear that nothing would come without sacrifice. Earth could not remain the same after this, not after the power that was now within their reach. Suddenly, a low hum filled the air as the device at the center of the room began to glow brighter, the energy swirling like a storm inside it. The very walls of the chamber seemed to vibrate as if the entire ship was alive. We will show you the potential, the being said, stepping aside as the device began to hum with a new intensity. But remember, once you accept this power, it will change you, it will change everything. Maria stepped forward, her eyes fixed on the device. The swirling energy inside seemed to beckon her, as if it were calling her to take the next step. She could feel the power, the immense force, vibrating in her bones. It was both terrifying and exhilarating. Will it be enough? She whispered. Half to herself. The being didn't answer immediately. Instead, it stepped back, its expression unreadable. It is not a question of whether the power will be enough. The question is whether you will be enough to control it. With that, the being extended one hand toward the device. The energy inside the sphere surged, sending a pulse of light that illuminated the entire room. For a brief moment, Maria saw glimpses of galaxies, stars, and civilizations, some alive, some in ruin. It was as if the device was showing her the potential of what could be achieved and also the dangers that lay ahead. But as quickly as it had started, the visions faded. The device's light dimmed and the room fell silent again. Maria stood frozen. The future of Earth had just been laid before her, and the weight of the decision crushed her chest. Could humanity handle such power? Could they resist the temptation to use it for personal gain? Or would they fall into the same trap that had destroyed so many others before them? Why us? Maria finally asked, her voice quiet, almost pleading. Why Earth? Why choose us for this power? The being's gaze softened, its voice almost gentle as it replied. You are not the first to be tested. Many civilizations have come before you, some have failed. Destroyed by their own ambition, others have succeeded, creating a future where all could thrive, but you are unique. Earth has something that others do not, the potential to change, to adapt. The will to survive against all odds. That is why you are here. Maria's mind raced. But she could not find the words to respond. The truth was simple yet overwhelming. Earth had been chosen. Not because they were the most powerful, but because they were resilient. They had survived countless challenges, wars, devastation, even the Empire's initial threat, and now they were being tested once again. Accepting this power will change everything. The being continued, but it is not without its burdens. You will be watched, not just by us, but by the universe itself. This power comes with responsibility. Are you ready to bear that weight? Maria's heart swelled with both fear and determination. This was her choice. This was Earth's choice. And it was a choice that could determine the fate of everything they had fought for. She looked at General Marshall, Dr. Cole, and the others. They had come this far together, and now the decision lay in their hands. Would they take this power, knowing the dangers that lay ahead, or would they refuse? Leaving Earth vulnerable to the Empire's eventual return, we have no choice but to accept it, Maria said, her voice filled with resolve. If this is the future we must face, then we will face it head-on. Earth will not fall again. The being before her nodded once, as though it had been waiting for her answer. Then, you have made your choice, but remember, the power you seek will not be given freely, it must be earned. And the future of your species will depend on how you wield it. With that, the room fell into darkness once again, and Maria knew that their journey had only just begun. The path ahead was fraught with danger, but it was a path that Earth would walk with its newfound power. If they could survive the consequences, the galaxy would never be the same again. Neither would Earth. The final stand decision had been made. There was no turning back now. Maria Hale stood at the helm of Earth's newly transformed future, her mind heavy with the weight of what had just occurred. The Black Fleet had given Earth power, the kind of power that could change the fate of galaxies. It was not just the ability to fight the Empire or conquer planets, but the potential to reshape the future of humanity itself. But with that power came responsibility, a burden greater than any Earth had ever known. As Maria and her team made their way back to Earth's command center, the intensity of their new mission settled in. The Black Fleet had warned them the galaxy would be watching if Earth failed to prove its worth. The power it now held would be its undoing. There was no room for mistakes, no time for hesitation. The future was no longer a far-off concept, it was now. We've received a message from the Empire, General Marshall said, his voice grave. They're not backing down, they've regrouped, and are preparing to launch a full-scale assault on Earth. They've learned of the Black Fleet's power, and they're not going to let that go unchallenged. Maria clenched her fists. The Empire would not give up. It had been humiliated once, but its thirst for control and dominance was far from quenched. They were coming back to Earth, and this time, they wouldn't make the same mistakes. The Empire's threat was always clear, Maria said, her voice cold with determination. But now, we have the power to fight back. We won't just defend Earth. We'll show the Empire that we are no longer their prey. The news of Earth's newfound strength had spread quickly across the galaxy. But Maria knew the Empire would only see it as a challenge. They would come not just to defeat Earth, but to break it, to crush this new hope before it could take root. As Maria looked out the window of the command center, she saw the Black Fleet hanging in orbit, its ships like silent sentinels watching. Over Earth, they had given humanity a chance. But now it was up to Earth to prove that it was worthy of that power. A transmission crackled through the speakers. It was from the Empire. The message was direct, a declaration of war. Earth has made its choice. The voice of the Empire's leader boomed across the speakers. You have chosen to side with the unknown. You have awakened something that should have remained buried. Prepare yourselves, for we will not let this stand. Earth will fall, just like the others before it. Maria's eyes narrowed as she listened. The Empire would come with everything they had. They had underestimated Earth once, but they wouldn't make the same mistake again, and this time, Earth would stand its ground. We have no choice, Maria said, her voice steady. The time for talks is over. The Empire will be met with force. We will show them the full might of the Black Fleet and humanity's will to survive. The fleet was already in motion. Earth's forces, bolstered by the strength of the Black Fleet, gathered in orbit. The once fragile human fleet, now reinforced with advanced technology and the Black Fleet's power, stood united and ready for battle. In the vastness of space, the two forces would meet. The Black Fleet, with its dark ships, powerful energy weapons, and ancient wisdom, against the Empire with its overwhelming numbers and military might. This was the battle that would determine the fate of Earth and the galaxy. As the first waves of Empire ships appeared on the horizon, Earth's fleet moved into position. The two sides stared at each other, the tension in the void thick enough to cut with a knife. The Empire's fleet was massive, its ships bristling with weaponry. But Earth had something the Empire didn't: unity, power, and the element of surprise. The first shots were fired, the Black Fleet's ships moved with deadly precision, their weapons firing in quick succession, striking Empire ships with a force that seemed almost effortless. Energy pulses and beams of light lit up the dark void of space. As the two fleets clashed in a violent explosion of power, the battle was like nothing Earth had ever seen, but Earth's forces, empowered by the Black Fleet's advanced technology, fought back with a fury that shocked even the Empire. General Marshall barked orders, his voice commanding as the battle raged on. Earth's fleet, once considered insignificant in the face of the Empire's might, now fought with the strength of a unified force. They fought for survival, for their future, for the very right to exist in the galaxy. Maria stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the battle unfolding before her. This was the moment of truth. The Empire was powerful, but they had underestimated humanity's resilience, its ability to adapt, and its determination to survive. And now, with the power of the Black Fleet at their side, Earth was no longer a victim. They were a force to be reckoned with. The Empire's flagship was hit, its shields cracking under the pressure of the Black Fleet's assault. It wasn't just the weaponry, it was the sheer will behind Earth's resistance. The Empire's pride was crumbling, and they were realizing too late that Earth had become something they could no longer control. As the battle continued, Maria watched as the Black Fleet's ships, led by their mysterious commanders, moved with precision, dismantling the Empire's fleet piece by piece. The tide of the war had shifted. The Empire's massive ships were falling, one by one, as Earth's fleet, bolstered by the Black Fleet's power, tore through their ranks. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the Empire's forces began to retreat. Their flagship, crippled and burning, retreated into the depths of space. The battle was over. Maria stood still for a moment, the enormity of what had just transpired sinking in. Earth had survived, against all odds. Humanity had fought back and won. The Empire had been defeated not just by force, but by the strength and resilience of Earth's people. The Black Fleet's ships began to move away, their dark silhouettes slowly disappearing into the stars. Earth had earned its place in the galaxy, but the question remained: what now? Maria looked out at the stars, her mind filled with the weight of the future. Earth had won, but the road ahead would not be easy. The galaxy had changed, and humanity's place in it would never be the same. As the Black Fleet faded into the distance, Maria knew one thing for certain: Earth had just begun its journey.